So in continuation, I was telling you that these naive B cells, they are CD5 positive, right? They are small in size and they're small resting lymphocytes. So these CD5 cells, they also naive B cells, they also occupy the mantle cell, right? A mantle zone, and that's why they basically, you can call it as mantle cell CD5 positive. So the mantle cell lymphoma is also CD5 positive. Right now, one really important thing about the germinal center is the playoff with BCL2. BCL2 is an anti-apoptotic factor, right? It is a nuclear protein which is an anti-apoptotic factor, like it prevents apoptosis. It does not lets apoptosis happen, so the cell can't die. Now the germinal center is a highly proactive part where there's a lot of mitosis happening and a lot of apoptosis happening. Now for that apoptosis to happen, the cell which is entering the germinal center, basically the centroblast, when it will enter, it will change into centrocytes. However, for this procedure, they switch off the BCL2 protein so they can undergo apoptosis, which is very crucial step here. What happens in follicular lymphoma is that there are mutations in which the cells will fail to switch off the BCL2 protein. So they will continue to undergo apoptosis. They won't be able to undergo apoptosis, or in simple words, the cell just can't die by apoptosis in follicular lymphoma. So that's why in follicular lymphoma, if you do a BCL2 protein, it will be positive, while the BCL2 protein will be negative in normal germinal center of a reactive lymph node, but it will be positive in a follicular lymphoma, which is a very helpful clue to follicular lymphoma. However, there are some cases in which you can find aberrant BCL2 negativity in follicular lymphoma. However, that's a separate issue, but for the majority, BCL2 is positive in follicular lymphoma and it is negative or switched off in a normal germinal center reactive lymph node. Okay, that's important, another point. Okay, then we have this memory B cell, right? This is occupying the marginal zone, from which we will be getting your marginal zone lymphomas, and MALT, which is the extranodal marginal zone lymphomas. Okay, now this cell will be CD5 negative. You remember the mantle cell was positive. It will be CD10 negative. I told you that CD10 is wait, let me write it here. The germinal center cells are BCL6 positive, they are CD10 positive, right? And they are BCL2 negative. Now this cell, which is the marginal zone cell, it will be CD5 negative, it will be CD10 negative, it will be BCL6 negative or switched off, and its mum1 will be turned off. So basically, in order to for this transition, they turn off the BCL6 and they turn on the mum1. So you can't have a cell with both BCL6 and mum1, right? So it will be either BCL6 or either mum1. Okay, and they have surface IgM. Now when these are converted into long-lived plasma cells, what happens is the BCL6 is still off, the mum1 is on. They don't have the surface IgM, but what they do is they either have IgG or IgA, but they don't have surface immunoglobulins, and they are CD38 positive, CD138 positive, mum1 positive, CD79A positive, and they're CD20 negative, as we discussed in a previous diagram. See, so just to get a look on this again, you can see here is CD20 and you can't see is in this mature plasma cell, right? And you don't see your PAX5 and your CD79A also in this mature plasma cell, right? No, you see, sorry, you don't see PAX5, but you do have CD79A, sorry. So that's one important thing. Another important thing is that we need to know a little bit of this is your different lymphomas and what they're expressing. So this is your CLL, right? So CLL is expressing CD5, it is expressing CD23, and it is expressing CD43, and it is also expressing mum1. So all of this mum1 positivity is post germinal center. Then they have CD5 positive and 23 positive and 43 positive, right? Then we will just discuss the common ones, right? Then we have the Splenic marginal zone lymphoma, so it has surface immunoglobulin but doesn't have cytoplasmic immunoglobulin. Anti-CD5 negative, it is 10 negative, 23 negative, 43 negative, because it's a marginal zone, and BCL6 is negative, and MUM1 also is usually negative, right? Okay, then we have the mold lymphoma. In mold lymphoma, what you have is, remember that splenic marginal zone is extranodal, so this is mold lymphoma, which is usually nodal, and it has surface immunoglobulin and can also have cytoplasmic immunoglobulin, and 5 and 10 are negative, and then again BCL6 is negative, and MUM1 is positive, which is post germinal center phenotype, right? Then we have follicular lymphoma. Follicular lymphoma also has surface immunoglobulin, doesn't have cytoplasmic immunoglobulin, and it is CD5 negative, it is CD10 positive, which is the germinal center marker, it is BCL6 positive, which is again a germinal center marker, and it doesn't say here BCL2, but it is also BCL2 positive, which is an important marker for it, right? Then we have mantle cell lymphoma. The mantle cell lymphoma is basically a diagnosis of exclusion. What we see in mantle cell lymphoma is usually we have all the negatives, and we have a CD5 positive, and we have a cyclin D1 positive usually, right? Okay, and then we have DLBCL. DLBCLs are two types, the germinal center type and the ABC type. We'll get it for further discussion. And then we have Burkitt lymphoma. Burkitt lymphoma is usually CD10 positive, and it is also BCL6 positive, which is again a germinal center phenotype, right? And then there's a brief discussion about some other markers. I'll do a primer on markers also, but first I want to discuss the B cell lymphomas first. So B cell lymphomas, age is a very important parametric for it, right? Normally you will get your most common lymphomas are follicular lymphoma, DLBCL lymphoma, right? And you have the Hodgkin lymphoma. They're the most three common ones. Further, most of these mature B cell lymphomas, they would be in the 6th to 7th decade. The only thing that would be worrisome, or in a child you would think of a lymphoma, it would either be a Burkitt or it would either be a DLBCL. Normally these two are the ones you see in children. Then they have a lot of male prominence, like mental is 74% in male, and then some are females, like follicular is 48% is in female, so FF you can remember it's in follicles, and also PMLBCL you can have it in young and adolescents, and also non-inclusive Hodgkin lymphoma. We're talking about non-Hodgkin lymphomas here, right? And then there's a brief discussion about how these lymphomas can be related to viruses like EBV, and to immunodeficiency, and to Hep C, and to H. pylori, and other things could be the etiologic factors, and then immunodeficiency a major thing, right? So let's move on to mature lymphomas now.